Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. It is the finale of Sense8 Season 1, Episode 12, I Can't Leave Her. Kim Horcher, William Bibbiani, Alonso Duralde.
It's sensational!
Oh, stop it.
No.
Francis Maxwell could not join us, alas, but he is here in spirit, and I would be wearing a pocket square in his honor if I'd known. Anyway, wow, okay, it's a satisfying wrap-up, I want to say.
Was it? I don't know. I thought after all of this build-up, after last week's intense action sequence, after, frankly, every time all of the Sensates have come together for one big project, I felt like it was a little bit more big and imaginative than what we got in this one. Now, this was still a fun episode, but it struck me as somewhat down from in intensity from previous
you'll
episodes.
recall, though, in a lot of like network shows that we cover, the next to last episode of the season is where they really kick out the jams.
Yeah,
and then the finale is where they sort of like put it all back together.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessary, though. I don't know if that has to be the paradigm in which
No.
they work.
I'm just saying it's not unheard of to go that way.
It just seems like this whole show has been escalating. Kim, what do you think?
I will agree episode 11 was more my favorite than this one, with the Sun and Capheus action, though I did like to see how this came to a conclusion. I didn't, because I was thinking, how are they going to win? How are they going to win? They're stuck. They're screwed. The way they win is Will is unconscious forever?
For the rest of his life.
What do we do in season 2 with that?
I suspect that's not a forever thing.
I'm sure we'll be fine. Well, the thing is, all we got to do is kill Whispers.
Well,
Someone kill Whispers. Seriously, what the hell?
yeah,
Kill the fuck.
I mean, I think obviously season 2 will be more about like who is this guy? Who else are these? You know, who else is the what is it? BOP or whatever?
BPO.
BPO.
Yeah. We should meet another cluster. I mean, they're not the only one, right?
Right,
I mean, they
right.
keep talking about how everyone. From what I understand, and maybe this is wrong, anytime someone in a cluster dies, they give birth to a new cluster.
Is
Isn't
it?
that-
I
is that how
thought
it
there was
was?
one mother per group, and I was like, oh, Riley's the mother, obviously.
Is she?
I thought it was projected to me that she was the mother.
Oh, because she's doing
She
all the
had
giving
that
birth and
scene where
stuff?
she was like, she looked like Angelica. She had the birthing. She has all these birth illusions tied to
The
her.
music
Okay,
connecting
no,
them all.
that makes more sense. That makes more sense because I was wondering.
So is it the death of Daryl Hannah in episode 1 that spawns this cluster?
Yeah.
Okay, just
Yeah. No, I was wondering because I was like, every other person in Sense8 has a really useful skill, except Riley, whose DJing abilities have not come into play yet, and so maybe her.
I
role
have
is
an
the mother.
idea.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah?
Maybe she knows a lot about drugs, right? Maybe she could make some kind of concoction for Will where he doesn't have to be unconscious all the time.
I don't think she's a chemist, though. I think it'd be more of Kala's deal.
Okay.
Somebody pointed out that it was Riley's perfect pitch that allowed Wolfgang to crack the safe.
Okay. No, you're right. That actually is a good point. I'd forgotten about that. That was so early in the series.
Right.
And I hadn't quite got on the wavelength of how everything worked that I just wasn't considering that. You're right. That actually is
Yeah, no,
something.
and I got that from a listener or
I
a
think she
viewer.
might
right?
have the strongest empathetic powers as well, and she seems to be very. I feel like can she block people? I feel like she did that at one point.
Did she? Maybe. I don't remember.
I feel like maybe her powers are a little bit more, or her empathy powers, or her sensate abilities are a
Although
little bit stronger.
She does have a weakness for flashbacks. She's like stuck in a flashback loop at the beginning of this episode. Well, it's not even dreams. She's just, I'm stuck in a flashback. Help!
Yeah, I mean, it's like her childbirth experience was so traumatic that it sort of became, it kind of was the overwhelming factor of the final 2 episodes. But thematically, obviously, it fits with, you're like you said, her being the mother of the cluster and the whole intra-connection between them in terms of, bringing life into the world and creation and that sort of stuff. So, and, because we're back in Iceland for the big finale, it all ties together there as well. Although, it was, I did like the fact, that this is, I think, maybe the only episode where all 8 of them participate
involved.
in a moment,
Right.
and have a thing going on.
Exactly,
Which is
and it was fun, and I liked seeing all of it. I loved when Leto came in, introduced himself to Will. It's like, we had sex. It's like, gay panic. 1 second, gay panic. We don't have time for gay panic.
It took forever though. It was so funny. Leto has the funniest scenes. Do you think there's some name significance with them?
What do you mean?
Like Leto's scenes are lighter.
They're lighter.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Will has willpower.
Sun
is bright. The center and strong.
Kala is.
I don't know what Kala means.
And Capheus is jittery. I don't know.
Well, plays Van Damme. Fucking Van Damme, man. There you go. He chose his own name. Yeah. That's totally fine. Yeah. What was I going with this? No, I was.
Will gets pregnant in this episode, of course.
Will does get pregnant in this episode. That was fun. I wish that had continued.
Was that Riley using her projection?
Yeah.
Exactly. That was cool. I like
sympathetic pregnancy.
Okay.
Didn't have that.
Was this our first Wilhelm scream when Son kicks the guy
noticed
with the
that.
rail?
I didn't know.
I was like,
I loved it.
Everyone loves the Wilhelm. I love it. We'll never get old. It's this weird moment that completely breaks the fourth wall, but no one gets sick of it ever. It's great. It's the universal drinking
the best
game.
noise.
Wolfgang, we find out, killed dear old dad.
And as well he should have.
Apparently so, yeah, because the show has been intimated terrible things have happened there. So.
Yeah, exactly. So fine. Totally fine. But what's interesting about it is he goes on this awesome shooting spree, and all that was really, really cool. I liked that Will knows what a bullet hitting Kevlar sounds like.
Yeah.
That was an interesting idea.
He would.
No, it's just an interesting idea for something to add to the scene. And then what it all boils down to is, what is Wolfgang's ability if you don't need to crack his safe? He's willing to die.
Yeah, and kill.
He just doesn't give a shit. Like, I don't know. I know someone who doesn't give a shit about whether we live or die. I'm going to let him take control of, wait a second, Wolfgang, like, weird. I don't know.
How does that work when they all have to kind of protect each other and stay in check? I mean, his one power is willingness to die?
Well, he has
his greatest power.
His
Sorry.
greatest power. His greatest
Well, I think, but willingness to die, but also willingness to kill, I think is sort of pointed out. That the other ones are a little more skittish in that department.
Because we've established that Will is incredibly protective, especially of Riley, but just in general, that he would never hurt her, and the idea of putting her in danger in order to save her is something that he might flinch about in this game of chicken with a helicopter.
Right.
So we'll get a guy who doesn't give a shit.
They just need to keep him in check, I guess, and not let him take the wheel too much.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like letting fear and anger run the things Inside Out. They have a place, but then joy and sadness have to come back.
Speaking of that driving sequence, though, I love Nomi's theory about men and cars.
It worked.
It does. It's some kind of
100% worked.
instinct. We just hate to see cars in trouble, and I don't give a crap. So I feel completely alienated from the show, but I've seen it happen. I've seen it in motion.
Oh,
it's
sure.
Totally right.
Yeah.
It was really, really, really funny.
Not a gene I have either, but
exactly.
It exists for sure.
It's totes adorbs in every possible way. God, there was other stuff. Kara got to build a bomb.
Oh yes,
that was cool.
Out of handy household
that
items.
Stuff. What was it, like peppers, spices,
spray
cans?
I wonder how accurate that was, because I remember when they did Fight Club, they had to change the formula for homemade bombs just so no one would watch Fight Club and do it.
Oh, right.
So I wonder how accurate it was. They probably just and shove that thing, and change one ingredient. So spice.
I
Spice
can't
is important.
believe how big that explosion was from just that stuff, though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's what happens when you shove a bunch of stuff in your kitchen into one big goop and throw it at people.
All right.
Those pressurized spray cans, they pack a punch.
Yeah, well, it's like in She-Devil when all she did was turn on the gas and put a can of aerosol spray in a microwave and it blew up the block. First She-Devil reference in 20 years, by the way. You're welcome, Internet. You are welcome.
Let's talk about this series thus far. I mean, this was the finale, and I think there is. You can point to it and say, oh, it has these flaws. It has this sort of kind of Wachowski absurdity to it. Yeah, exactly.
Who gives a shit?
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. You saw the name on the tin. You knew what you were getting.
Yeah.
What did you expect?
And yes, it's you could, and I'm sure people out there who are hardcore sci-fi folks can kind of point to what they're borrowing from and what they're cribbing from. But that's what all sci-fi is now. I mean,
there aren't any original. I think it was Mark Twain said over 100 years ago that no one's had an original idea since Adam. I don't really care if it's original. Originality is cool.
Yeah,
you get some bonus points if you're original, sure. But what really matters is
what do you do with the stolen goods?
What do you do with it? What do you do with Terminator Genesis is coming out, and they're just remixing all the other stuff that was in the franchise, and that's fine. But they didn't add anything inherently dramatic to it. What the Wachowskis do at their best, and what they're definitely doing here with Sense8 is, okay, you've seen this sort of idea before, and yet we're going to make it intensely emotional and meaningful.
Yeah.
Great. Win. You won. I think this is I honestly think this is the best thing the Wachowskis have ever done.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay.
I honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of The Matrix. I had watched a lot of anime. None of the ideas and visuals were interesting and new to me at the time. So all I saw was this awkward exposition. I love Cloud Atlas. I love Speed Racer. I love the hell out of Bound. Don't get me wrong. And hell, you and me are like two of the only boosters of Jupiter Ascending. I thought it was a really neat flick. But this is ambitious and intelligent and thoughtful in a way that you just don't get.
I would put this top 3 for sure. And you're right. There is an emotional connection. I mean, people are flipping out about Wolfgang and Kala, and they've had like a handful of scenes together, but those actors generate such charisma and such chemistry that just watch them together, there's something sort of magic about that. I love that they take this amazing perspective, because when we talk about things that are happening around the world in movies or on TV shows, the world is generally ascribed to like North America, certain parts of Asia, and Europe. You know, and so to have a show that has significant chunks set in Mexico City, Nairobi, Seoul, you know, Iceland, you know, and to be so diverse and not in this sort of knee-jerk, oh, we got to throw in the black best friend. Like, you have these Asian and black and trans and lesbian and queer and all these characters of equal footing with equally interesting storylines. That's revolutionary, and it's also proof that you can do it and not have it feel like it's this thing that you have to do to sort of, you know, check off boxes, but that it can actually be integral to the storyline and to the drama.
Well, the whole point is that we're all just one person, and all of these differences are artificial.
Yeah, I think that's the point of the season or the series thus far. I did like the use of like sexuality and doing things that might seem shocking, but are really, you know, in context, not so different from what, you know, you might be more familiar with in terms of race and gender as well. And I think that's definitely the message. I don't know what we're doing moving forward.
Well, I think
I don't either. I hope we get to.
I think we're going to investigate, like I said, who's Whispers, who is the BPO.
I think we're going to meet other clusters. We're bound to at some point.
I'd like to have it explained a little more, just to pull a little bit of a Francis.
Oh, fine.
I think we're on like a flashback episode, like they did on Heroes, that explained like where Saeed and Daryl Hannah came from. I always want to call him Saeed. I know he's Naveen Andrews, but I always want to call him Saeed.
Jonas,
thank you. All right, thank you very much for that. I want to backtrack real fast. You said this is in your top 3 Wachowskis. What's your other 2?
Matrix and Bound.
Okay.
And but I also like Jupiter Ascending.
No, it's fine. I was just curious, and again, I realize it's ironic that I said that, because even though after I said it doesn't have to be original to be good, I said that because I'd seen stuff like The Matrix, it didn't have the same impact on me. All I mean is, I just saw the exposition nightmare. That's one of the things that I don't want for Sense8, is to become just a nonstop deluge of exposition. I liked that they've played very, very coy with a lot of the exposition and not giving it to us all at once.
Do you like not understanding the rules fully?
I like knowing that the rules make sense, but I don't necessarily need to have them all explained to me at once, because it bothers me when sci-fi and fantasy becomes more about the rules than about the characters.
As long as there's consistency, I don't care if it's explained. As long as I get there is a structure in place that they can't just pull shit out of midair and totally upend what we think we know.
Yeah.
I don't have to have somebody sit down and break it all down for me.
Yeah, but I'd still like to understand the rules about clusters more, and how this is working, and who are these people, and the mutations and evolution and all that.
I think they could. I think a season 2 could totally operate along the lines of this one in terms of little bits of information along the way as we need them, without just, you know, what's the thing where you rip open the music box, you know, where you take the magic away and it completely just dies.
Again, I do think you look at something like any of the Matrix movies, where there are enormous stop points in all the films, even the first one, which hides it better with more visual effects and kung fu than, say, the end of The Matrix Reloaded, which is just, and now we're going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff you might need to know for later.
Okay.
For a long period of time. I don't want that to halt the momentum. I want that information eventually, but I don't want it to halt the momentum, and if that means parceling it off slowly so that it's organic when people find out when this stuff...
Sure.
I want it to be organic.
I don't want a Matrix Reloaded either.
Good.
Frankly, I would love it if we could have a superhero movie that if it has to be an origin story, Give me that origin in 5 minutes.
I bet that's where we're going to go with the new Spider-Man.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Oh, geez, it's better. I'm so sick of the Peter Parker origin story again and again and again.
I think you need to have it in there somehow, but I think like one really emotional monologue with like a couple of cutaways would probably get it all done.
Like, 'cause for me, basically, if the Wachowskis and Straczynski, that's a mouthful, have
Wachowski.
if Wachowski has if they know the rules and they follow them in the storytelling, I'm perfectly happy with not knowing most of them.
Okay, as long as it's cohesive.
As long as it's cohesive, as long as it's as long
as
long as there's consistency to it. That's really all about it.
I'm fine with that. I don't know.
But I love these characters. I love all 8 of them, and I want to see more of them, and I want to find out more. You were saying that they're doing a panel at Comic-Con, so maybe that means season
hopefully
2?
That means we're doing a season 2. Netflix, I can't think of a single Netflix show that wasn't like an animated series that Netflix hasn't brought back for season 2. So hopefully this is coming back for season 2. Maybe they'll call it Sense8.
No.
Sense9.
Nice. Just keep building. Just keep adding to it. Honestly, I can take it. Bring more. More. It's delicious.
Well, thanks you guys for joining us for this, and we hope that we will be back with season 2.
And more orgies, please.
More orgies.
Always.
I missed that episode. You did it without me.
I'm sorry we did the orgy without you.
Never again, I promise.